All right, good day, everyone. We are going to be discussing in detail the new Helo, and this is the Health and Wellness Oracle brought to you by World Global Network. And it is the most advanced wearable device on the market by far, which we're going to explore in detail. So if you happen to be looking at the Helo for the first time, you're curious about it, and looking for a review, you've stopped at the right place, because we're going to hammer through this and verify whether it's valid for you in your life and compare it to some of the other major brands, of which you'll see below this video. There'll be a video link that you can click in the description area that shows a comparison of all the major brands and what this does. But most importantly for you is we are going to dive into each of these areas. So today we'll be covering some of them, and then we'll go into detail in each specific area, because this is so vast, we could not cover this in one video and take up half your day. There is literally nothing like it on the market. So, and with me today, I'm Wade Pierce, by the way. I'm a consultant with World Global Network and been at it for a little bit of time. An amazing business. For those of you who are curious about the business opportunity, you can learn about this as well in the description and contact us directly. And my brother, Tom Pierce, who has spent his lifetime around health, lives in a really sunny environment. As you can see, he doesn't have to wear a shirt, and his lifestyle warrants being pretty casual. Up here in the north, I have to be sheltered with some clothing. And his life has been all around health and fitness, cellular biology and kinesiology, and everything to do with health on the herbal side, naturopathic, so-called alternative side, so he can speak from a place that I can't in terms of understanding the implications of modern technology with natural healing remedies and the natural understanding of the body, and how we are systemic, and how the Helo can give even the person who believes they're intuitive information they can't get just from their imagination or their feelings. You can measure and get quantifiable information. So if first, Thomas, when you first had this, because I know you're not into technology, which is interesting, and now here we are using technology for these chats, and you're using the Helo, so you have it on your wrist. I'm not sure if you have it on now.
Yeah.
But you can see how small it is. But when you first got it, what kind of stood out to you, and what did you notice first about it that kind of intrigued you and its role into your life, and maybe someone else could understand how that would benefit them and theirs?
Well, at the beginning, I really had to wrap my head around it, because it is very advanced technology, and that's not really my expertise. My expertise is creating an amazing lifestyle. But you can say you have a great lifestyle, but how do you quantify that? And I thought, maybe I should dig into this, and maybe there's some information here that can confirm or deny that I'm really having the life that I think is excellent. Is my health really excellent? How do I know that I'm really healthy? Yeah. I mean, I feel amazing. I have a great lifestyle, but is there a way of measuring that in some way? So as I started to look into this, every time I peeled it apart, it was more amazing. At the beginning, it looks a little overwhelming for people that don't have a medical background or an understanding of their body. But what we're going to do is we're just going to simplify that. And that's what we're doing today. We're going to start a series. We're going to pull apart each application on this, show them how they tie into your health and your lifestyle. And the Oracle, the Health and Lifestyle Oracle name that they gave it, is very applicable, because what we all want, is we want a great lifestyle. And when we have one, that should translate into certain data, and it should be quantifiable and measurable and readable. And that's what we're going to show today, how a great lifestyle does produce certain numbers, and how a dysfunctional lifestyle produces other numbers. And that's what we need to talk about.
It's actually fascinating. My imagination always goes to where people say there's kind of two camps. You have the traditional medical model and the non-traditional, alternative, so-called. And they kind of get diametrically opposed, which is unnecessary. And what we're going to do through the series of these talks is show you how they're merged. There's a partnership between them, because there's phenomenal understanding in the medical community that the naturopaths don't have access to, and vice versa. There's a way to understand the systemic nature of the body in a naturopathic way, that can lead to dramatic healing results. But when you combine the power of both, instead of them opposing and calling each other names and saying why one's better than the other, well, that doesn't make much sense, because there's value in both. And if we can take modern technology, of which this clearly is, there's nothing naturopathic about this device, yet let's say most people in the so-called alternative side are opposed to the kind of data that would be so useful to their life. Instead of just leaving it to your emotions and saying I'm intuitive, well, what if you could verify that my feelings do show data? And this thing will cover mood and emotion, which is more than just like having a mood ring on. This is like real mood and emotional changes based on numerous stresses in your life and eating patterns, the list of things around your life that you can on your wrist. And with a simple app, which we're going to talk about in a minute here, there's an app on here that lets you see some pretty amazing information about your life that will leave clues to you. Instead of, we kind of liken it to, some people like to live in denial. I'm not really a fan of that. We don't need to know all this information. Well, yeah, you do, because it's preventative. It will allow you to quantify if what you're doing actually is doing something, not just I feel better, but measure it beyond just I feel better, and then be able to take action steps from that information. That's useful. I know people have had strokes that would have been prevented. People have had heart attacks had they had certain information, because the heart attacks just come. But there's signs, though, that most people don't realize there are signs that lead to them, and it's be useful to know them. So what are your thoughts on that, Thomas, around using this kind of device with the medical community, with the naturopathic side of life, and how they're a partnership? They're not in opposition. That this device kind of makes them a partnership.
Yes, we have to if we drop all the judgments and we can advance ourselves a lot faster. And it's important to not look at certain components of health and well-being with a evangelistic mindset. One isn't better than the other. Eating well doesn't mean you're going to be healthy.
Yeah.
Exercising and doing yoga doesn't equal health and longevity. What creates longevity, vitality, flexibility, clear mind, things like that is going to be the cohesiveness between the mind and the body and the emotions and the person's connection or awareness of the universe. And practically having a great lifestyle, a balanced lifestyle, is going to show very specific numbers on the Helo. It's measurable. So regardless if you're a vegan or a vegetarian or meaty, it doesn't really matter. If you're operating within certain parameters, those are really good indicators that things are going in the right direction for you. But if you're following a particular plan with a religious fanatical idealism, and it's not working for you, you need to know in advance, regardless of your belief about and your passion for that particular diet or program. If it's not benefiting you, wouldn't you want to know? And we move it out of the intellectual and emotional realm, and we can put it on the table and say, look, this is working for you. Amazing. Or it's clearly not working for you. And I think this is the bridge that unifies those two schools of thought.
That's empowering right there. That, to me, the word is empowerment. When I got this, I'm like, I'm healthy, 52, I'm all good. What's the big deal, right? Well, that's kind of a denial state in itself. It's no harm in feeling good. That's like saying that there isn't some information that I might not be aware of that could improve my life. It's the saying that what you don't know won't hurt you. Well, you'll hear that in the thread through these videos. That's insanity. It's what you don't know that kills you. If I didn't know, I don't know there's frequencies bombarding me right now until I just mentioned it. They're not useful to my being. The EMFs, this is benefiting you for the electromagnetic frequencies, electrosmog from this computer, from this phone, from the Wi-Fi, the TV signal, radio waves flowing through us right now. This will actually benefit you in that regard. That's pretty amazing stuff.
Yeah, so maybe we should touch on some of the benefits of the Helo, because it's a diverse topic on all of the functions. So we can just touch on, what in essence does it do and how does it function in our daily life?
Okay, I'll just rattle through the list, and we won't get to all these, of course, we won't have enough time, but we will do individual. You know that the major brands, if you've looked at any of these kind of devices, will do the heart rate, steps, calories, distance you've covered, and sleep. That's all. That's what they all do. That's it. That's where the Helo starts. Then it goes into full EKGs, just like going to the hospital, blood pressure, blood temperature, blood oxygen, breath rate, mood and emotion, fatigue levels, remote monitoring from the app, so you can monitor other loved ones, or if you're a health coach, you can monitor them, or a physician. Amazing. And we'll get into that in detail in another call. It has germanium plates, hematite, and Himalayan salts. These have their own influence. We'll talk about that in a separate call. And it has an SOS button, meaning if you are alone, you're attacked, you're hiking, you get lost, you're elderly, and you fall down or something, you need some help, you press that SOS button, it will send a text message and a phone call to whomever you have it programmed to do so, and it'll GPS locate the person that presses it. Phenomenal idea. And then it's coming out with some amazing features like blood sugar reading, blood viscosity. Imagine that right on your wrist, no pricking your finger to draw blood. That is a game changer. And then blood alcohol reading. Wouldn't you like to know if you were going to be impaired before you get to, put the keys in the ignition? Powerful. That's early next year, 2017. And then a mosquito repellent. I mean, talk about high tech. I mean, I'm in Canada. I like to
that in itself, because I live in the Caribbean, and the reality of living in the Caribbean is things like dengue fever, and dengue fever is similar to malaria, which I've had 4 times. I just had it 3 weeks ago again. To have something on your wrist, if anyone's had dengue or malaria, there's 2 types of dengue. One where you hemorrhage and bleed out, and the other one feels like someone has an ice pick in your eyeballs and is like wreaking havoc in your body for 7 days. So it's a very brutal type of a virus, very tough. So just to know that there's something that's going to help prevent
the Zika
virus, dengue, malaria, traveling in the tropics, that in itself has all the value right there. If anyone has gone through those kind of illnesses, you know that regardless of every other application, those ones right there for people that travel in the tropics, that's the value.
You bring up a great point there. If you just imagine you have this device and there's numerous areas. It could be one area. For some, it could be sleep. And we're going to talk about that well, actually, we have another video in the series already done. You can watch that. It's specific to sleep. That area alone, it will justify owning this. And as you explore this, and that's why we're breaking it down, it's overwhelming when you hear them all. You kind of gloss over, and I don't understand. It's just too much for me. But when you look at one, and you can improve one area, and it'll affect your life in that one area, like we just mentioned with the mosquito repellent, that one area will justify its need for some people and for some sections of the market. You can go through every one of these, and each area, as we're going to explore in detail, it has its own purpose in multiple markets. So we're sharing that for you, not only for you and who might be reviewing this to see its efficacy for your life, but especially as well as people who see the business side and go, this is a pretty amazing product. The applications for this product are not just fitness. That's entry level. That's the toy side of it. It's good stuff, but it's still the toy side relative to where this is going and all the new features. So yeah, so in terms of one of the features we could talk about today before we kind of summarize where we're going to go in the entire series is when I first got the app, I'm not sure what you did, but I did the systolic and diastolic, the full EKGs. I was just intrigued, and that's the first thing I went to. I just wanted to check out the 20,000 foot view and just do a look. So
you did the blood pressure test there.
Yeah, that's right. So let me go to the focus here in case this gets a little, give me a second and we'll see if it's not so good, but I'll try to get this as clear as I can.
Yeah, I can see the numbers perfectly.
Yeah, so you can go ahead and chat about it. Did you do one of these?
Yeah, that's a blood pressure reading. Friday the 14th, you did that. That's very normal. And you'll see 2 columns, one on the left that says high and one on the right that says high. And those 2 bars to the right are basically referring to that, the purple bar to the left column and the blue bar to the right column. And it's letting you know whether those numbers are in the normal range. Now, remember, this is kind of an average number, okay? Meaning that depending on the age of the individual and the lifestyle of the individual, that those numbers are going to change.
Yes.
So we need to worry about them when they're in unhealthy ranges for showing a trend for a period of time. Blood pressure changes all through the sleep cycle, and that's what you're going to see in the sleep cycle function that gives you good information. Is you'll start noticing, whoa, when I sleep, my blood pressure gets higher a couple hours before I wake up. Well, that's a normal function. That's regulation. That's what you want to see. When you're super excited and exercising, blood pressure will be elevated. When you're calm and centered and relaxed, blood pressure will be lower. So it's kind of fun and interesting to notice how in different times of the day your numbers change.
Uh-huh.
And there's trends there. And that's what we want to pass on to our physicians. We want to show them this is the trend over 90 days. And I mean, ideally, that's perfect for them to see a trend, not to hear you say, I'm dizzy when I stand up or almost pass out when I stand up. Well, that's quite an alarm situation. But now we have something where we can monitor long-term trends. And that's what makes this so beneficial to people, even athletes. Recovery, temporary elevations in blood pressure depending on supplementation or in performance enhancing drugs that people are taking. This is a critical thing to have when you're living in that realm and you have to monitor yourself by yourself.
Yes, that's a whole world right there. We're going to do a specific talk on that, especially for the weightlifters.
So when you look at the value of this, I mean, this is really worth thousands of dollars. If you go to any physician here, you're not going to be able to do an EKG in a doctor's office. You have to go to the hospital. So think of the time and cost and inconvenience of doing an EKG. I can just put my finger on this at any point in the day and do an EKG. And it's an accurate EKG.
Yeah.
And with that calculation and a few other calculations, it crunches data and gives us some very important readings that we'll talk about in the future because they're a little more complex. But this kind of information is, you would have to be in a control group setting in an institute or a hospital being monitored to have this much data. You're not going to have this in your wrist is unheard of. It would be very expensive to do this testing also. So the convenience is there, then the value is, is immense with this for sure.
And I just think you could have it on your wrist. I mean, what's more convenient than that? It's something you just forget about, like a watch. And then you can program it to say, I want updates every 2 hours and maybe every 30 minutes if there's some real issue or less than that, but you can tell it, which is pretty fast. And
there's an advantage if it's not something that you want to be keeping your eyes glued to. You can simply have your doctor download the app and you can ask him to keep an eye on you and you can send your information to him. Yeah. He would find that very convenient. Number one, he can monitor more patients at once. He can keep better contact with you, closer contact with you. He can communicate through you from a distance. There's many benefits about that. The developer, Toshiba, who developed the hardware portion of this, they are implementing other technologies in other countries where people in transportation business, truckers, are being monitored by a central database. Now, if they see the trucker is under sleep deprivation with rising blood pressure, showing all of these really unhealthy signs, because we know truckers typically don't have a good lifestyle. It's high stress, it's poor food, it's no exercise, it's not good sleep, and sometimes it's stimulants.
Yeah, stimulant.
The ones that are doing that to get the miles in, because they're paid by mileage, they're using a lot of stimulants to keep going. When a central controller has access to their data on their wrist, they just send a text and pull them off the road. He becomes a health risk. with 40,000 pounds flying down the freeway. You do not want that person falling asleep at the wheel, which is a big cause of fatalities, is that truck drivers fall asleep because they're exhausted. If you monitor him, you can see him crashing in advance. And I don't mean physically or in the truck. I mean, you can watch his numbers and see that he's in a very precarious situation, and tell him to get off the road and sleep. And that is going to set a my prediction is pilots, truckers, people moving personnel responsible for heavy machinery. Insurance companies are going to want to implement a program like this because it saves everybody's time, energy, money, and saves a lot of lives. You don't want your pilot, which has happened in the last couple of months twice, one Canadian and one American commercial pilot were pulled off because they were under the influence of alcohol. Imagine if you had to blow on that alcohol sensor on the Helo before you flew the 747, and that's going to a central database. I mean, we're projecting into the future, but the reality is that will happen. That's going to happen for sure. So someone's going to get this in there. And somebody who pulls this into the Department of Transportation and does that will probably be a wealthy person.
And there is one of the things we can kind of wrap up this call. So we went over a whole pile of areas, and we'll have it on the screen below. There'll be a link. You can download a little file as well that'll just show you a comparison and show you what these features are, so you know all the areas we'll be going into. But in terms of an opportunity, now, of course, you can buy this. Doesn't matter if you're interested in the opportunity at all. We all pay the same. There's no arbitrary discount because I'm promoting this. But my passion is making me promote this in numerous areas of my life and friends' lives. People who have heart attacks, had they had this, it would have changed their experience and would be around today. That's just a fact. It would have had information that they weren't privy to before. So it's profound in its impact on our lives, and the multiple areas that someone who understands the business side will see that this is it already is $1 billion industry, but it's projected to be around 35 billion a year by 2020. We're talking, large, an inexhaustible industry, and no one in the world is doing this. No one has a product even close to this on the planet. And if they tried to, remember one unique thing. We have a referral-based business. It goes from manufacturing right to your door. There's no cost between. No one could knock this off and compete. Their price point would be north of $1,000 minimum. They couldn't afford. I mean, they're $350 now. The Apple Watch, the Samsung, they're all around $350 now. And all they do is steps, heart rate, calories, and distance covered, and sleep monitoring. That's it. They start going to all these features. The R&D and development will push the price out of the ability of people to buy it. Because of our model, it goes manufacturing right to your door. There's no cost in between. So we're pretty fortunate. And those of you who want to look at the business side, you can contact us. There's information in this video. Just give us a call. We'll help you get set up, or perhaps just purchase a Helo for yourself and your family. So as you can see, it does a lot. We're going to talk about each area in detail. So check the videos in this playlist. We have several different playlists on different topics. Explore them in detail, share them with others, and join the conversation. So any last thoughts, Thomas, before we go? I'm going to clear my throat.
Only that when you try to decide whether or not this is for you, sometimes you may think it's not for you. Maybe you're younger, you feel healthy. Just the other day, I was speaking to someone here, and they were a tour operator. And they said, yeah, that's interesting because one of my drivers just had a stroke. He was 21. 21 years old. And the more I look into it, the numbers of people having strokes between 30 and 40 is staggering. So it has a huge application for people that regardless of your age. We personally seen someone having a heart attack. I've seen someone having a stroke, holding their chest and telling me they'll be fine.
Yeah,
okay, I'll be fine. Bent over, loss of function, can't talk, looking at you, going, "Don't worry, it'll pass. I'll be okay." It's like, okay, now that's optimism. I agree. You should have a optimistic attitude.
That might be a little bit of
danger. I think that's a great quality to have, but it has to be tempered with some sense of reality, which is you're getting a warning. You better get it together real fast and take a look. But now with something like this, the Helo, you could have an advanced trend displayed to you and even an alarm that will go off to let you know you need medical assistance now. You're not okay, Jari. As much as you think you are, you need to move. You need to get to a hospital. So that, to save somebody's life, a lot of stories around people that have been had a little bit of a warning and saved their life. So if that's important to you or someone you know, then this may be a product for you.
Yeah, impressive. It is unique. I encourage you to explore it into whatever detail that suits you in your life. It is amazing. Once you use it, you'll be surprised at its influence on your life and the impact it can have for you. So thanks for your time. Encourage you to explore all the other videos in this channel and in this series. And we look forward to assisting you if you choose to. You can contact us in the information below, and we'll help you get organized. And we'll look forward to seeing you on our next talk. So thanks for your time.